Hey, my name is Justin Donaldson and today we're painting a landscape with massive clouds. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the major ideas that I like to use when creating landscape paintings in gouache with a focus on these giant cumulonimbus clouds. Clouds are a really difficult subject to paint at the best of times, and they're full of a massive variety of edge qualities from lost edge all the way to hard edges, and for those of us who use gouache, being able to paint consistently with soft edges provides a particular challenge since it's the nature of gouache to dry very quickly. There are a couple of things we do immediately to help this out, and the first thing is to wet both sides of our paper. If we start to wet just one side of the paper, we're going to end up buckling all over the place. Buckling happens because of an uneven distribution of water. So if we wet both sides to begin with, the paper's not going to buckle as much, but secondly, it's actually also going to help feed water to the paint and allow the paint that we put down to stay active and workable for longer. So when we're painting like this, we're painting wet with gouache, we got to think of those really big forms. So I love to start off with some gradients, just pulling in the major ideas that we can work and paint into, and then slowly pull in these other ideas. The good thing about working into this wet paint also means that we can push our paint around using lots of water, lots of paint, push the paint around and let it interact naturally the way that the paint wants to, so that the paint can do so much of the work for us. And you know, us artists are lazy, we don't want to do the work ourselves. I brought in a large brush with water load on it and wet the paper just where it is. I'm doing this again here with wet paint. Every time that we put down a stroke, every time we put down paint, every time we put down water, we're changing the way that everything behaves. So really the trick with gouache, the trick with clouds, the trick with mountains, the trick with using water media is that first word, it's the water. So we want to learn how that water acts and reacts at basically any given moment in time. How is my painting going to react if I put a lot of water down? And the minute that I put that water down, we set a timer. Things go from being loose and fluid to being sort of active and workable to suddenly being a little tacky to being dry. And every time that I put water down, I'm starting somewhere in that process. So if you want to get better at using gouache, that's what you need to do. here in the painting, we're getting to the point where we're really just starting to finish things off. We want to start to add in the details, add in the final degrees of contrast, add in the final details, things that really are going to help make this feel like a finished piece. We don't always have to finish our piece from the very beginning, although that would be ideal. Sometimes we're building, we're working in a process, and a lot of the times we're putting down the major shapes and the major gradients and coming back in on top to add in little reflections, to add in, places where we're seeing little details here and there. But breaking the process up into a variety of sections really actually helps us to learn how to think. It helps us to learn how to break what we're doing up into manageable steps so that we don't get overwhelmed. You can see right here I'm coming in with a brush, really just changing some of the edges, working through, creating some hard edges here and there, some softer edges over here. Really, we're at a point where we get to refine things and decide exactly what we want this painting to look like and feel like. Thanks for joining us, guys.